The blue line is the bayonet gamma Doppler and the green line is the bayonet autotronic. They might look a bit similar at first, but they're actually very different. Note specifically where prices have ended up after the initial hype died down. The gamma Doppler at 5100 CNY and it recovers to 5960 as of today, and the autotronic from 3420 to 3540 as of today. Gamma Dopplers have been some of the strongest performers and least affected by the big dips, like the one that happened when CS2 fully released recently on the 30th. Gamma Dopplers in general were unfazed from this move, while other knives and skins for the most part got crushed. But before we continue, let me tell you where to actually get these knives for cheap. CS2 Empire has a ton of skins listed at cheaper than buff price, and you might be thinking, isn't that a gambling site? Partially, but not entirely. They have an entire marketplace dedicated to peer-to-peer buying and selling with 0% fees, and if you sort by the best deals, you'll easily find stuff cheaper than buff. As you can see here, these gloves are 3.36% off. You can easily flip them for profit, and Empire also offers any deposit method you could think of, including many different cryptos and real money options. And you're able to withdraw with all of these options, including USDC, which you could turn to cash instantly. Of course, there's no wager requirement on any deposit either, so be sure to check them out with that link in the description and start getting skins for cheaper than buff today. Okay, first let me cover knives that surprisingly got crushed. For starters, fades and marble fades. That personally surprised me. Over the past month, minus 10% seems to be the common trend for these knives, and once again, let's compare them to gamma Dopplers. Note that special gem knives like emeralds, for example, have gotten absolutely decimated as well. But for the most part, normal phases we actually see some green, maybe slight red in some phases, but obviously nowhere near as bad as the marble fades and the fades going minus 10%. Vanilla knives were honestly some of the knives I thought would hold up really well because they looked so much better, but no, they've gotten crushed as well. It's really weird, and it seems like the worst of it is thankfully over, but almost nothing was safe from this crash. Now, normal Dopplers are a bit different. Phase 1s are doing really well price-wise and handle the dip really well. They look great for Dopplers and gamma Dopplers. Phase 2s are mostly green in price. The butterfly is actually up 30% in 30 days, which is ridiculous. Phase 3s and 4s are holding up pretty well too, but once again, sapphires are completely decimated, so are rubies, which is surprising because sapphires I could get. They kind of look like phase 3s in a lot of situations. Rubies look a lot different, but still, I guess the initial hype was just still something that couldn't be handled. Obviously, emeralds were completely crushed as well, and they have completely different trends than just the normal phases. And I don't know if that's just because they were overvalued going into everything, or because some of the phases just look exactly like specifically sapphires, maybe not emeralds so much, but still, their prices have just gotten crushed. When it comes to your random skins as well, like Boreal Forest and other stuff like that, that's just normal play skins, they've gotten hit pretty hard too. It's so weird that Dopplers and gamma Dopplers are the only knives that have really held up and none of the rare gems have. I don't think that's suddenly gonna change. I think these are gonna have a ton of demand in the future, assuming they don't get changed back to looking more like they did in CSGO, which would obviously be a disaster, but that's kind of the gamble you have to take with CS skins sometimes. But I still think the bottom eventually is going to happen at a new operation when the skins finally come. Whether or not gamma Dopplers or normal Dopplers get affected like that, I don't know, but they've held up really strong in every situation up to this point relative to other knives. Like when we're seeing everything drop around 10%, and gamma Dopplers, a lot of them up in price, normal Dopplers, some of them up in price, but no real crashes in them, definitely not minus 10%. I'd say they seem to be the safe haven of skins for now, and at least have enough demand to justify their prices. So they're one thing I'm not afraid of holding, and I don't really think they're going to be too volatile, or at least experience crashes that bad. It looks like people actually like them. But as always, if you want to buy those skins and pay 0% fees for buying and selling, be sure to check out Empire with that link in the description.